Alright guys, we're in my neighbor's shop. We're working on their Kawasaki mule. This is a 4010 and it is the trans 4x4. So what's going on with it? Went to put it in gear the other day and a bunch of noise, and now it doesn't go forward. A little bit opened up here. I'm about to pull it apart, and we'll show you what we find inside of there. So alrighty, let's get going. Just a little bit of background on this machine. It's been having trouble shifting for a while, and we knew that there's something wrong with the torque converter. All right, so this is underneath, it's a dump bed thing like this, and underneath the bed is where the engine's at. Obviously, engine, that's essentially your transmission. This underneath here is the torque converter. So what we're looking at here is actually the cover, and I've already loosened it off. As you can see, my phone was dead, so I couldn't record that. In order to make it easier to get to that, I did go ahead and remove the exhaust. It's pretty easy. So there's that. Nothing to it. Takes a 10mm wrench, and there's a breather that goes right here. 2 bolts. I went ahead and took that off as well, and the associated hoses. So that's where we're at. I'm about to pull this cover off. Let me get my little phone stand set up, and we'll show you what's in there. Alright, here we go. Alright, that pain to get apart. Alright, that cover was a pain in the butt. We actually had to take the tire off and take the this is just like a mounting for these plastic pieces here. Had to pull that off, and then it came out of that hole there. The books and stuff, they show this being done with the suspension and everything being removed, but you don't actually have to remove the suspension. All right, so anyway, here we are. This is a torque converter, so this comes off the engine obviously, and this is the input to the transmission. And the way this works is that as this starts to spin up, it's like a flyweight action, and it closes this against the belt right there. And then as this gets further and further away, you get to closer and closer to kind of a 1-to-1 ratio between the motor and this. So this is a variable drive pulley. I think the problem we were having before was with the flyweight mechanism here, and then something else is broke now. Although this feels like the engine side is good. I feel that's a compression stroke of the piston right there. So anyway, though, the belt is good, looks all right, but something's not, though. Something's broken here. Alright, so now that we're at this point, we're going to go ahead and pull off the drive pulley, which is this entire assembly here. To do that, you're going to need this tool here. It comes with some little bolts in these collars, and they're going to mount, I haven't taken them off yet, but to these screws right here. There's 3 of them. So we'll take those out, install this tool. Shit. How's that supposed to work? Oh, this will come off, and then this will mount up to it. For the record, the Kawasaki part number for that is right there, 57001-1548. We bought these about 6 months ago. I don't remember where we got them, eBay maybe, don't know. And the other tool that we're going to use later is this one right here, and I think that's all we're going to need. Maybe not, we may have bought something else too, but anyway, I'll show you those when we get to them. So all right, go ahead and get this installed. And what this is for is this shaft down in here that's real shiny. It's made out of a material called nodule iron, or at least I understand it is. which if that's the case, it's a really, really brittle material and really easy to break if you twist it at all. So the point of this tool is to just hold it evenly while you're taking the bolt out, which is inside here. You'll see it in just a second. That way you don't break the shaft in half. So, that is an 8mm. Got some kind of custom washers and stuff on it. Alrighty. So this tool goes in here. This is threaded. This is a metric. It's a 14mm 1.5 gauge thread, just for the record. And the idea is this should bottom out on the hole and pop this whole pulley off, I think. That's handy. That tool actually hits on that frame member right there. Right, just need a little bit more, that's all. There we go. Just like that. You can see the way that sticks out the back, and that's what was doing the actual pushing. Okay, so now we'll set this up on a table or something and get this pulled apart and see if we can figure out why it wasn't working right. So, cool. Okay, so we've got the driven pulley here, drive pulley here. Now, to get these apart further requires tools that are really expensive. It's like $600 worth of tools that we didn't buy, and I could probably get by if I took these to my shop at work. I could probably figure out a way to get them apart without it. But we found a guy that's actually on the way for a different errand I have to run, who is going to go ahead and rebuild these for us and then get them reinstalled. So unfortunately, I won't have that on the video for you guys, but it looks like it's pretty simple. He thinks he can have this one, have this one done maybe by close of business, depending on when I get it to him. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's way cheaper than buying all the tools to do it ourselves. And I don't want to risk breaking any of this because these are expensive. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So sorry, I won't be showing rebuilding that. They're not super complicated. It just, they're kind of a pain to get apart without the right tools. So that's what we're doing. So we'll see you when we get these rebuilt. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this back together. This just came back from the shop, so they replaced. There's a spring in there and some little plastic bits, and they were telling me that's the part that usually wears out. So we had all the parts, and since we had the parts and we already had it off the machine, it was actually cheaper to have them go ahead and rebuild these, because they have a better shop for taking all this stuff apart than it was to buy the tools that we would have needed to take it apart and rebuild it. So anyway, that's why I did it that way. Just reminder, I'd have preferred to show it to you redoing. I don't think it's that difficult. You just got to be able to get it all apart. So first thing back on will be the driven pulley, and it is a spline connection. So we just have to line that up here. That's back on. Now this bolt, you can see here, that had some red thread locker on it. So I happen to have some of that as well. So we're gonna put some on there. This stuff's really, really strong. This is the high strength stuff. Ooh, yep. It's hot, so that's probably more than I needed. Get float out of there real good. Anyway, that right there, I actually saw a meme once that showed basically exactly this. It said, "Who hurt you?" Because this stuff is so strong and hard to get off. And we just covered the whole threads, but that's all right. Appears that they did as well. We definitely don't want it to come back at it. All right, so that's a 17 here. There is an actual torque spec on that, but we're just going to give it what it's got there. Belt goes on next. Followed by driven pulley. Phone's overheating, so I'm trying to hurry here. And this is a taper, so make sure that you get this nice and clean. Don't want anything on there. Oh, that's tighter than when it came off. Oh, that's why. So that just pushes on like so. This one doesn't appear to have any kind of thread lock on it, so I'm not going to use any. Oh, interesting, because I'm turning the engine. The way those tapers work, it's just like on a drill press or something. It's such a fine fit that they just kind of wedge themselves together and they lock on perfectly concentrically. Yeah, so I can feel it. I'm turning against the compression stroke of the engine. I didn't anticipate that. The way to stop that, I don't know if I'm going to do it, would be to take a spark plug out and put something soft in there, but like plastic, that will stop the piston from turning. So let me stop the video here. We'll see if I need to do something like that. All right, so I just used the impact on it and that works. As you can see, that tightened up nicely. Yeah, so now just need to take it loose. Must have taken it off of there then when they rebuilt this. It didn't torque it down all the way. Which is fine. Take this tool back off if you put it on there. And I think if you're using an impact, you probably actually don't need it. But this piece goes back on. Okay, so that's the torque converter apart and back together. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and end that video off here. The rest of it's just putting everything back together same way I took it apart. So we'll put the cover back on. Obviously, I gotta put the shock back on. This kind of fender thing and all that stuff back together, but it's all straightforward. It comes apart exactly the way you took it off. So That's how you take your torque converter apart. Sorry I couldn't show the
More detailed on the inside bits, but it is what it is. Budget is what it is. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.